time!
Story time! Story time!
Story time! Story time! And then
Itch! Howdy, folks, and happy Thursday to everyone. My name is Timothy Vilgiotti.
And I'm Christopher Fox.
And you're listening to Two Lies and One Truth.
An almost pro storytelling podcast hosted on UCCS Radio, iTunes, Google Play Music, as well as a few other podcast hosting localities.
On this show, we bring you 3 stories. Only one of them is true, and it's up to you to decide which one it is.
And we will never tell you.
This isn't the story food line. We actually do give out free stories, but while we're handing it to you, you don't know what it is. So it's more like school lunch. We're story school lunch.
Oh, what school did you go to?
I was homeschooled.
Oh.
Yeah, well, on this episode, we have some stories about parking.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about our musical guest?
Well, it is CJ Hackett, his band A Bad Night for a Hero. They're some good friends of mine. They come out of Colorado Springs. Really nice folks.
Right on. So our first story is read by a pretty neat gal that goes by the name of Sydney Davis. This story was written by Timmy Vilgiotti. Have fun.
Where I happened to meet her, a red-headed raven with pallid demeanor.
It was about noon when I saw her again. I was a 22-year-old college student whose giant fat-ass cat had somehow torn out the ceiling fan while trying to escape my vacuum cleaner. I came to the hardware store to buy a box of screws, a bucket of paint, and a box of light bulbs. She was an elderly Slavic woman with a hunch in her shoulders, a thick accent, and a piercing gaze. So far as I could tell, she was buying 3 packs of Swedish fish and a single potted ficus. Her eyes shifted between something in her purse and me, laying back and forth. In a hushed tone, she beckoned for the ear of the cashier who was checking her out. Staring right at me, she whispered something to him. He looked behind him and nodded, handing her a bag. About 5 seconds ago, I had nearly run into her with my cart as she was pacing through the ficus section. She swore at me in Russian, looking terribly angry. As I passed by the paint carts, I caught sight of her staring at me angrily. Now here she was again, giving me the eye, clearly staring at me. I hurriedly packed up my cart and pushed it towards the door. "Young woman, wait!" she shouted. My heart pounded, and I sped up, gaining speed, hurrying out into the parking lot. I forgot where I parked. I remembered that I flipped off a stupid white Toyota who stole my parking spot about 3 rows back. They flipped me off right back, so I honked at them and sped away. If I weren't a 5-foot-tall white girl who'd never seen a gun, let alone fired one, I would have popped a cap in his ass. So instead, I turned up against the rap that had been playing in my car and sped off, looking for a better spot. I was too stressed to actually remember anything after that. Sparkles, my cat, weighs about as much as a small dog, and apparently has superhuman jumping skills hidden deep beneath its layers of feline rubber. That in my apartment building was built 50 years ago. The current owners don't maintain it, and it only stays in business because of broke college kids and the local resort hotel housing its underpaid Jamaican seasonal contractors when they're not working. I almost never went to the hardware store before I lived there. But 3 months in, and I go there so often to fix this thing or that thing in the apartment, that I overhear the manager pointing me out to new employees as one of the regulars. First it was the toilet, then it was the floorboards underneath the refrigerator. A few weeks back, one of the other tenants actually asked me to help fix a problem in the laundry room, and everyone pitched in to send me to the store to buy the parts we needed. The building is falling apart at the seams. Evidently, the managers have settled out of court on 2 class action lawsuits already. Housing is so expensive, though, that people still move in, since they can't really afford anywhere else. For now, I just hoped that Sparkles could manage to keep his shit together while I was gone. He was a very skittish cat, especially in this new building. I was about 2 rows back into the parking lot when I heard the same thick Slavic accent call out to me. "Young woman, wait, I need to talk to you." The creepy old lady. I couldn't tell where she was. I could only hear her voice, and somehow I knew she could see me. Desperately, I searched for her, turning around and almost falling back into an SUV. Munching on a bag of Swedish fish, I saw the old woman painstakingly inching towards me, a dark, menacing scowl on her face. I had too much of a long day at this point to deal with some kind of bizarre confrontation. I ignored her and tried to get to my car. I thought I saw it about a row or 2 away. She continued to pursue me. It was starting to get bizarre. My heart was pounding, filled with strange, pounding anxiety that something was about to happen, that she was about to do something. She kept looking at me. There was something frightening in her gaze. Consuming anger and hollowness, her eyes were bleak and scornful. I crouched down, shaking, and trying to gain control over my head as I slowly moved away from her, trying to hide my panic. Where was I? The hardware store, right. I breathed in and out slowly. I saw her ficus bobbing in the wind through a tainted glass of an SUV as I peeked up carefully. Her eyes were peeled ahead, squinting. She was looking for me. A couple got out of their car, pulling up right next to her, almost hitting her. She appeared unmoved. I left my cart for a moment and tried to head back towards the store, patting my pants for my phone. Crap, I left it in my car. But maybe I could talk to the manager, or wait in the store until she gave up. Quickly I darted away, swiftly dodging through a pair of cars that swerved violently around me. "Young woman!" I heard her voice over my shoulder. "Young woman, come over here!" How had she caught up with me so fast? I ran even faster. The world was spinning around me as my head throbbed in a delirious panic. As I shot from one row of cars and tried to run through the parking lot, a golden SUV plowed into me from the side. I fell down. "You recognize this woman?" The police officer asked the manager of the Home Depot. The manager grimaced, crossing his arm. "You recognize this woman?" Oh, this is Timmy's part. I'll go and read it anyway. "You recognize this old woman?" "You recognize this old woman?" The police officer asked the manager of the Home Depot. The manager grimaced, crossing his arm. "Sylvia. She'd come there every week for years. A regular, yes. Of course he knew her. Did you see her before she ran into the parking lot?" No, I didn't. "And did anyone bring to your attention that she was acting strangely?" "Well, there hadn't been any need to. She was always a little odd, talking to herself, mumbling as she pushed her cart along. A lonely old woman, especially recently. Her daughter had been caught in a building collapse just 3 months ago."
Transit romances, no, they never happen. I'm easy to read, I am easy to fasten. Onto your side, I could cling to your thighs. Down on my knees, though I don't really mean to. The Yeti strikes again. I'd like to punch his lights in. Take the 7 or 8 to the 25 if you wanna stay alive. You take the 7 or 8 to the 25 if you wanna stay alive. No, you cannot be late, no, you can't hesitate. This is not
This next story was written by Christopher Fox and features voice help from Braley and Heather.
So we laced our hands together, and that alone just made my day. And she wants to ride the zipper, and so we step into the cage. And I can...
It's been 10 hours, 21 minutes, and 22 seconds since I started to drive. I took a break for gas some 5 hours, 15 minutes, and 10 seconds ago. Maybe. Maybe exactly. I'll need to get some more gas soon, but I'm sort of tired. Sort of really tired. I've been driving for 10 hours and 22 minutes or so. I just don't really know where I'm at. Modern technology is pretty cool with GPS built into the phone, or even just the ability to have GPS. I wonder what the Old West settlers would have done if they had GPS. Get lost like me? Or doubt it. But maybe I'm a lot like them. I don't really want anyone to know where I'm going or where I'm at. I probably don't even want myself to know, really. Drive until I can't. I'm just getting really tired. It'd be nice to just pull over and sleep. Grab other people, and we could all just move our cars into some sort of circle configuration. Protect ourselves. Protect ourselves from who knows what. What's there to protect ourselves from now? We, humans, masters of the earth, with GPS, fast foods, gas on demand. We Americans, masters of ourselves, with no idea where we are going. I have no idea where I'm going, or where I'm at. I've been driving for well over 10 hours, and I'm getting really tired. I need to abandon the idea of finding refuge in a protective circle community. Need to abandon a lot. But I don't want to use my card. Not yet. I don't have a lot of cash, but I have to use cash. I have to pull over. Maybe it was the old-time feel of the signage that was posted. Maybe it was my delirium. Almost over 20 hours since I've slept. Almost 20 hours, 46 minutes, and 16 seconds. Almost. Almost exactly. We humans, with our modern electronic windows, could pull it down slightly enough to offer non-muffled contact from others. Hey man, you can't sleep here. Either come in and get something, or be on your way. I'm sorry, sir. I can pay. I'm just tired. Well, if you can pay, come on in and get you some food. No, I'm not hungry, sir. I'm just tired. What? Are you on something, mister? No, sir. I've just been driving a very long time and thought I'd pull over. Just get out of here, mister. There's a nice hotel not too far down the road that way. He pointed to the hotel I passed not too long ago. I couldn't go there because they would want to use my card, and I couldn't use my card. So I slept for some 1 hour, 32 minutes, and almost 46 seconds. Almost exactly. I didn't have to drive, but I've been in my car for almost 12 hours. I couldn't figure out the math completely. Not yet. I would be able to. I knew I would be able to, but not yet. Yes, sir. I'll be on my way now. I watched him, as he watched me, turn out of his parking lot and go to the fast food next door. Maybe it was out of spite, but most definitely out of hunger. I got something to eat, and I needed gas. My delirium did cause me to turn off the car while I slept, but I was still low on gas. Too low. I hope that man watched me get food. We, humans, masters of our properties. We, humans, masters of our properties. We Americans, masters of the day. Masters of nothing. I didn't hear the screeching, nor did I hear the crash, but the change in light told me I did sleep. I did sleep, and I didn't know exactly how long. I didn't know where I was. I was lost. Crashed into someone's yard, but my car seemed to be okay, but before I could start up the engine, I noticed a lady, cross-armed, standing out of the car. We humans, masters of electronics. I rolled the window down.
You drunk, mister?
No, I guess I just dozed off.
That don't make much sense. Where are you coming from?
Glances around took enough time to make it look like I was doing something more than wasting time. Maybe I truly thought that if I looked, I could see some sort of landmark, something I recognized. I don't really know. I've been driving for. I don't know how long I've been driving for. After I spoke, she held squinty eyes like she was trying to see if I was as full of shit as I looked.
Hey, Ma.
Oh, you have kids?
Who's that?
A strange wanderer, dear. Go back inside.
Cute kid. I don't want to impose. I think I can still drive. I just don't know where I'm at. If you could tell me where I am, I'd be right on my way.
You're in the middle of nowhere, dear. Where are you headed?
Anywhere. The phrase struck something deep in her. I could tell. We had something in common, the two of us, and I don't know where it came from, but I had to ask. Are you keeping account, you remember? The last number I remember was 16 hours, 36 minutes, and 27 seconds.
What?
Well, you asked where I was coming from. I just remembered that and wondered if you had something that you were counting.
2 years, 4 months, 5 days, 32 minutes, and 2 seconds.
Well, I feel a little ashamed that I can't remember my count so well. What's your count counting?
The day my daughter's father went to the store.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'll just be on my way.
Wait. Do you want breakfast?
Well, I can pay, ma'am. I have cash.
No, don't worry about it. Just come inside and have breakfast. Your car could use the brake.
Thank you, ma'am. That sounds wonderful. Maybe this was where I was driving the entire time and just didn't know it. Maybe where I needed to be. Maybe exactly. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 45 seconds. That's my new count. That's the start of my new life.
You can see that it's not safe. And before they go and drive by, she calmly turns to kiss my face. I can't tell if the girl or the carnival rides got me shaking inside, just playing it cool. I feel my heart coming out. Is it good, is it bad luck if I die in here with you? So tell me what's a boy to do?
Is that how you got where you're at?
Low blow, bro.
Is it too soon?
Yeah. What do you have next for us?
Well, next up is another story about, that's right, parking. Or sort of about parking. Actually, no, it's all about parking. Park yourself in your seat and sit back and enjoy.
So as our silent film begins, I've lost my titles and cue cards. Wish I was Charlie Chaplin, but I'm crude and I'm awkward. But you're the kind of girl a lot of actors would kill for. You've been in better films where you just might enjoy this one.
The worst part of going to school is that you have to go there with other people. People who generally suck. It's like how the worst part of parking is the fact that there are other cars. When the parking lot's literally empty, you can park anywhere you want. Like at work late at night sometimes, when I'm feeling like I want to live on the edge, and I'm just going to run in and out, I'll park in the disabled spot, just because I can. Parking at school brings the worst of those two things together, and essentially unleashes our basest and most crude instincts as we are forced to fight over a handful of parking spots like a pack of starving hyenas in the desert. You drive and race through the asphalt jungle, swerving around corners with a cutthroat agility, and maybe, just maybe, you're lucky enough to get a spot in the very back. When I was a freshman, I underestimated how terrible parking really would be. And so I scheduled 2 classes on opposite sides of the campus, just 10 minutes apart from each other. Hence, every single class went something like this. I'd race up to my car, rip open the door, slam it, pull out of the parking lot, and floor it until I got to the nearest lot. Then I'd have to sprint to class, and I'd usually show up exactly 1 minute late. It sucked when the classes first started up. But as the semester went by, and people started dropping or skipping classes, it got a little easier. And so I got complacent. That was my mistake. I underestimated the unadulterated savagery and ruthlessness of college parking at the time when it was just about to reach its height. Midterms. Not only did my morning class run right up to its scheduled end, but I had to get to my next class to take an exam. And so did everyone else. There they were, 100 or so freshmen, all hyped up on Adderall, Mountain Dew, and cheap bookstore coffee, all about to stampede up the hill in a red-eyed and desperate frenzy, fighting tooth and nail with groggy commuters from the suburbs and the mountain towns that normally skipped class, together with the stoners and the party girls who probably majored in something easy like business and didn't need to go to school anyway. When I got into my car, I looked myself in the mirror. God damn, you look gorgeous, I told myself before I snapped away. No, not today. We need to fight. I gritted my teeth and gave myself a stern and intense look. Are you prepared to kill? I asked myself. Wide-eyed, I stared back. What was I turning myself into? Some kind of monster? I started the car. A senior, looking at me with a delirious and strung-out anger from his car, roared out of his parking spot, a look of bloodlust on his face. That would be me someday. But it would be all of us. Everyone in this parking lot. We were all being trained to kill for a spot. It was time to do battle. It was time to crush the competition. I tried to think back to driving school, where I learned what not to do in parking, and I told myself, yeah, let's do exactly that. I raced out of the parking lot, swerving manically around a bicyclist and joining a parade of cars headed for a stop sign, where all of us were competing to see who could stop for the least amount of time without technically running the sign. After swerving around a car that slammed on its brakes and honked in the intersection, I powered ahead again, before making a rapid left into the first parking lot.
Myself and 12 other cars prowled around like hungry sharks. There might not be a spot here for us, but we had to try. We had to. Besides, lots of people didn't know about this lot. I looked at my clock. I had technically 5 minutes to get to my class. I could make it, if only I could find a place to park in time. I sped down the first row. A little Subaru pulled out of its spot as two giant pickup trucks nearly crashed into each other trying to take it. No luck. Myself and 3 others honked, speeding around the other rows. All taken. Every last one. I worked my way through lot after lot. Where would I ever get in the world if I couldn't be like one of those trucks, ready to run someone off the road to get my place? I mean, I was off to a good start with the way I'd made it through that intersection. I almost caused an accident at just the right time to give myself an edge. But it wasn't going to pay off if I couldn't use some aggression here, in the biggest lot, the lot right in front of my class. There were easily 50 cars looking for a place to park. Every time someone got in somewhere, I found myself cursing under my breath and imagining they're probably a good-for-nothing jerk or some kind of loser, that they're probably like a frat boy if they drove a nice car, a hippie if they drove something old and beat up, a gun-toting redneck if they were in a truck. We were lost in a sea of hot metal and gasoline, hopped up on stimulants and antidepressants. Our first exposure to adult life was fighting with a pair of beady eyes behind a tinted windshield over a spot between 2 yellow lines on the pavement. But I finally found somewhere. It was in the bottom of the parking garage at the very end, at least a mile from my class. I got there in time for the midterm. I remember vaguely that I got a perfect score on that test, but I nearly failed the class since I hadn't read the syllabus, and I ignored 2 huge projects. It was exhausting. From that point on, I realized it wasn't worth it to buy a parking pass most of the time and that you could just take the shuttle. And even then, parking is still something near the worst part of anything. Something banal and everyday that I guess I rarely think about for what it is most of the time. It's just a worthless repository of our deepest angers and fears and hatreds. It's fine when you're alone, though. The rush is gone, the competition, but it's fine if you don't have to deal with other people.
I watched you tread into the street. There were no titles or cue cards. I had to make my move to beat the tide of the traffic. You made it to the other side before I could reach you. And the silent film director, he is silently laughing at me.
Wow, now I know what it's like to actually have to park on campus.
Yes, it's like a giant metaphor for living in a post-capitalist society. Or is it?
I want to know since I walked to school.
What, do you love the planet or something? Crazy.
Yeah, moving on from that. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to our show. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and share us wherever you happen to share things.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Snapchat, YouTube, Reddit.
Tumblr, 4chan, 8chan, 16chan.
Meetup groups hosted on the dark web, mysterious haunted taverns, Foursquare.
Whoa, calm down, Chris. I don't think anyone in the audience actually uses Foursquare. Well, anyway, music for this episode was provided by A Bad Night for a Hero from Colorado Springs. Be sure to check them out at abadnightforahero.bandcamp.com.
Next week's theme is weed, in honor of a little date called 420. And then after that, the theme is school. As always, if you'd like to share stories or music with us, we have a handy-dandy form on our website, or connect with us on Facebook. Have a wonderful week, and until next week, live a life worth telling of a story.
Bye! Bye.